Welcome to another episode of the Right People, Right Places podcast. We are live here at the Chicago Build Expo 2025. We've got another great guest on here. I'm so excited to introduce you to her. Just to jump in and give her this little intro here, I'm joined by someone who's not just building smarter projects, she's helping shape the future of digital construction leadership. Olivia is a Lead BIM and VDC designer at Tri-City Electric Company, where she's driving innovation across the design and construction space. Today, we're going to be talking about mentorship and primarily building the next generation of women leaders in BIM. And one of the things that really drew me to Olivia's background was, one, she's in a space that's very male dominated and she's forging away, and she's passionate and she wants to forge away and inspire other women to join in what is historically been a space that's been male dominated, but to be able to say, hey, if you have an interest in that, why not explore it? Why not look into that? And she's got a story about how she got into this and how she mentors and leads other women, inspires everyone to look into this space. So anyway, it's such a pleasure to have you on, Olivia.
Thank you, Raul. I'm very happy to be here. I'm fortunate enough to be able to represent not only women in BIM, but also my company, Tri-City Electric. I've been in this industry now for 4 years. I definitely stumbled upon this industry. Quite honestly, I didn't know VDC was a thing. Didn't know it existed. I was doing what every college graduate did post-college, applying to every single job. Luckily, I have a degree that is very broad, industrial design. So with VDC and it being, somewhat systematical design, I'm able to kind of bend that towards my degree. We do a lot of user-centered design. So I do a lot of constructability.
Okay.
And I help to eliminate any fatigue or anything stress on the electricians, the people in the field. So anything that I can do to help them, that's what I'm doing every day in the office.
Fantastic.
That's then been able to lead me into connections further than just my company. That's how I stumbled upon Women in BIM by being fortunate enough to go to Autodesk University a few years ago. And I came across the booth for Women in BIM. And it wasn't until this past year that I truly got involved with it. And upon my interview for the mentorship program, they then asked, just based off the energy, if I would be interested in being a regional lead. So
Wow.
Now I get to help the Chicago area and the Quad City area, just connect women and support them, uplift them. So any way that I can do that, I feel fortunate and happy to, just
Amazing.
one voice makes a difference.
Totally.
Not many people believe that, but I'm a big advocate for one voice can do so much.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Yeah, even just to kind of tear down the whole mindset of construction being just a male space. I think to be able to give women courage to actually explore it. And if you have an interest in engineering, if you have an interest in how things work, it's like, you know what? Explore that in construction. There's a space for you. There's a career path for you. So it's amazing to have someone that not only is a voice that's vocal about it on the podcast, but someone that is actually living that experience as well. So, but tell us, let's peel it back a little bit more and tell us your story. How did you get into BIM? How did you get into kind of the construction space? Was there a story that you could share with us and our audience that kind of got you started on that path and interested in kind of exploring that as a young kid, even maybe?
So I grew up with a mother that was always flipping houses. I'm 26 years old and I've moved about 20 times in my life because she's always flipping houses. So I grew up with an innovative mom. I grew up in a very design and art-centered household. Two of my sisters are also very artistic, and even my father. One sister, she cries at the thought of an art project, so not her, but so just having an innovative background and then stumbling upon BIM and VDC and seeing how, the constructability and the prefab of it in the designing of solutions, finding new ways to make the lives better for the electricians. If we create a little prefab module of a rack going like this and your bends are this way, it helps eliminate this many people having to go on a ladder. It helps eliminate 5 touches for one item and only 2 people need to touch it.
Yep.
It's going to help your time go faster. It's going to help save money on your project. Everything will just be more efficient. So
Totally. Plan your work and work your plan.
Right. Measure twice, cut once.
Yeah, that's right. There you go.
If I have to do it 20 times on the computer, it's better than you having to do it out in the field.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about this subject of mentorship. I'm curious to know what would you say is your definition of mentorship?
My mentorship, I believe in, truly listening to your mentee, figuring out what it is in them from, an outsider perspective. Because if it's someone that I'm new to and I don't know the depths of their life to where I can be like, well, I know you're acting this way because of this background of it. I just can take a look at you from a whole picture and I can say, from my 5-minute conversation with you, I feel like this is something that we can focus on for you to be able to find encouragement and be able to advocate for yourself. Because if you can start with just one small thing, it will build off of each other. You want to start with that strong foundation.
Yes.
And so if I can figure out a way to help provide that for you, build that for you, even if it's taking a typical one from that would cover all people, that's always something that you can build though.
Yes.
I always think this is your base. And then we're going to grow from there. We're going to build on top of that and continue.
Totally. Yeah. Building on strengths, right? Building on what actually motivates, engages people, understanding that. And I think mentorship is a phenomenal environment, relationship to be able to understand that. Now, let's talk about just even in your life. It sounds like your mom maybe was a mentor of yours. Have you had other mentors? Maybe share with us some of the qualities of those mentors. You've already mentioned some, like listening and just kind of understanding and taking a step back and seeing it. But, as you think about some of your own mentors, would love to hear stories of how you've engaged with them.
Yeah. So I believe also with some of my mentors in the past, you learn from your failure.
Yes.
So obviously they're going to have a touching hand, here and there, but they're going to try to make you problem solve and you figure it out and they'll add their guidance in here bit by bit. But if they're just holding your hand the whole time, unfortunately, then you're not going to learn.
Yeah.
So I'm big on just the guidance, the leading hands. If you can give me this little bit of knowledge and then if I do fail and you see that I am going to fail, but you're accepting that and you're making pointers for after and you say, okay, so this happened from that. So we're going to do this and build from that. And this is what we're going to help implement for the next time.
Totally. So good. So good. I think that's great. I mean, there's no greater teacher than failure, right? Like just being able to, and you have to go through those emotions and you have to learn to actually go through those emotions a lot.
Right. Because that's what sticks with you.
Yeah.
That's what helps you. That's how you remember. And you're like,
Yes.
oh no, I didn't like the way that turned out because I did this, so I'm not going to do that. So I'll implement what they told me about this part to help me grow and move past that.
Totally. It's that muscle memory, right? Like even as you're talking about that, I'm thinking about going to the gym, you know what I mean? And like putting up some weight and, maybe doing a bench press. And it's like, I don't want the person that's assisting me with the heavier weight to just take all of it. But if they could just be there to guide me as I'm pushing up maybe weight that's slightly heavier.
Because even if their hands aren't touching it, but you can't see that. You can't see they're not touching it, but you think mentally they're there for you. And you just have that encouragement to put yourself that much further. Oh,
I did 10 more pounds this week. This is good.
Right.
Excellent. I love that. Well, let's kind of switch gears a little bit here. And, you talked a little bit about your career and expertise in BIM and design and, being highly technical and being in is a very historically male-dominated field. What challenges have you faced and how have you turned those experiences into opportunities for growth?
I've learned to take a step back and just let your work speak for itself.
Easy.
Because being in a male-dominated field, there's lots of egos. There's lots of voices, people that like to speak just to hear themselves speak, but doesn't mean everything they're saying is beneficial.
Totally.
So you don't need to be the largest voice in the room. You don't need to be, the most outspoken in the room. You need to be the one that is gathering and soaking in all the information. And then when the time is right, and you'll know when the time is right, then you'll slide your input in, and chances are that's going to outshine the rest of the little 2 bits of sense.
Yes, I love that. It's expertise at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, when it comes to building teams and when it comes to building solutions for customers, diversity of opinion is great. Diversity of team is great. Having different inputs. And I think that's really the heart behind,
Right.
Male, ethnicity, whether it's male, female, ethnicity, background. It's really, that's an expression of it. But really what it comes down to is leadership, right? Like,
Right.
and bringing that leadership to the table, sharing those thoughts and ideas, and creating an environment where people feel safe to share those things, And I love what you said there, because it takes it away from, what's become very politicized to, hey, you know what? This isn't about an agenda. This is about skill.
Right.
Like, let's talk about the solution. Let's talk about solving the real problem.
Right.
It doesn't matter if I'm a woman. It doesn't matter if I'm a man. It doesn't matter.
All that matters is we find the outcome,
Let's
and the
get
outcome
the
that
outcome.
works best.
Exactly. So I love that mindset. You know what I mean? I love that's so refreshing to hear, I think. And I think for our audience as well, to hear that, like, you know what, at the end of the day, it's like, let's be who we are and bring our ideas and let the best solution win the day. You know what I mean? Outside of all those things. So appreciate.
Many people are scared of failure.
Yeah.
And they're scared of speaking up because, well, I don't want my idea to be wrong. It's like,
Right.
as a woman, so many men
Right.
say the wrong things and they fail, and they don't let that hold them back.
Absolutely. What's the difference?
Right.
Yeah.
As a woman, just take that little bit of courage, steal it from them.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of it. Steal it from them. Use it towards yourself and push yourself forward. And I think if you can find a mentor that will help you find a voice, and they'll have a little bit of a voice for you as well and advocate for you, then that makes you all the more comfortable, and you feel accepted in the area, and that you're ready to put your foot forward.
Totally. I love it. Love it. Such good stuff there. So let's talk a little bit about your background in innovation. You shared kind of your humble beginnings there and what you like to do there. What have you learned about leading cross-functional teams, especially when designers, engineers, and field teams all speak a different technical language?
Right.
Talk about that.
I tried to break things down to where if anyone walked in off the street, I could hand them this and they can take it and run with it. Because you don't know everyone's background coming into it, and you can't necessarily trust everyone's background.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have figured out and learned how to sell themselves, and with the help of AI nowadays, they've learned to mark up and manufacture themselves to where, maybe they fibbed a little bit. And that's okay. Sometimes you gotta do that to get the job. Right. But as long as you can then just break it down into layman's terms to where everyone can understand it, and you can say, we're going to do this part from your background, and we're going to take that and see how this part then puzzle fits into this background, and just connect all the dots. Because even though you're so different and not alike, you're more alike than you think.
Yeah.
Like, it all comes down to the basics. We all started with the same foundation.
Yep.
So in a way, we're all going to be connected.
Love it. I love it. What would you say are skills or mindsets that define the next generation of leaders in digital construction? This might be taking a little bit from your talk that's coming up, so maybe don't share the whole thing, but okay.
I think a lot of it is just learning to research.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a lot of it, because there's so many tools out there, so many that do the same things, or they claim to be doing things. So if you just take a step back and you kind of read things down and look through it and figure out which ones are truly going to benefit you, and they're not just going to be marketing towards you and, a pretty face so that you use them and then you're like, well, we put all this time and energy and it's not actually doing what we need to,
Totally.
People can easily fool others just by some pretty colors on an advertisement. So, and I think you don't need the fanciest equipment to succeed.
Totally.
A lot of people can get lost in that and think, well, because we have the latest and greatest technology, obviously we're going to be better than these people. It's like, well, no, because we've learned this works. We've learned that we don't need those gibs and fads. when this is work. This is your solid foundation, and we can add things here and there to it, but we know that we can always come back to this, and this is going to function because, you know, you might not have internet, and yours is solely based off internet, and so it's not going to work to where ours will always.
Absolutely.
Because if the internet's not there, it still has a fallback on a main function.
Totally. I love it. Doing your homework, research, like actually.
You have the craft.
Yeah. Like you have to understand the craft. And part of that is kind of, you understand the craft and that informs your research, right? Like that informs how you process that information and become educated, and then how you educate others.
If you understand the system, then you can start adding in those fancy things to where, you know, some of them they'll help make your job efficient and, you know, speed things up.
Right.
Because there's a lot of things and functionalities within certain programs like Revit to where things can just take way longer than it needs to. And if you add this little plugin, that's going to do all of that for you in a click of a second.
Totally.
But you know that if that plugin fails, you still know how to do it.
Totally. Yep. And that's where it comes down to layman's. Back down to the basics. Like, this is what it is.
Know your craft and then use these to help.
Absolutely. Love it. Love it. Well, as we kind of close up our conversation here, this has been so great, so refreshing, I think, on so many levels, just with regards to mentorship, leadership, building teams, knowing your craft. There's one question that just popped in my head right now about what you do is digital. You know, it's digital construction. Like that's the next frontier, right? Like it's never going away, which is great. How do you keep the human dynamic in that? How do you humanize that or keep that, the humanity of that, intact?
I think in a way it comes down to the constructability.
Yep.
Because an AI component you can put in some prompts and tell them you want this and this to do it, and it'll do it. But then when you break it down, you realize, well, that's not actually going to work in real world. Or like, that's going to add harm and fatigue to a person just walking in and out of a building. So you can give me a great foundation and a base. I know I keep saying that, but you can give me a foundation to build off.
You got to hear it different ways, different times.
Yeah, exactly.
Repeatability is the way stuff sticks, you know?
Yeah. So give me a base to work off. So that then, especially if, you know, you're having troubles in your mind, you're like, I can't figure out how to do this. I'm going to throw it into AI. It'll give you something. You're like, oh, great. Okay, now I'm going to work off this. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to make it actually usable. So in a way, I think it's another coming back down to knowing your craft, and this is going to help you succeed.
Love it. Love it. I so love it. So what's next for you personally? What excites you most about the future of mentorship, innovation, and leadership in construction?
I think just the industry. And, you know, I feel just as one voice, I'm able to help pave a path for so many women because a lot of them feel discouraged to enter in such a male-dominated field. Or they feel not a comfortable work environment, workspace. And if I can help alleviate some of that and make it open and inviting, then I would love to do that.
Love it.
You know, if I can be that person where, well, because you were here, I was able to stay. Like I was comfortable and I felt the encouragement and I felt the mentorship and I felt the rock that I needed.
Excellent. Man, that's a great place, I think, to wrap up. So thank you so much for being on our episode here today about mentorship and women in the construction space. I'm so excited for our audience, especially the women out there who are looking into this space, maybe in college and kind of exploring things, or maybe women that are looking to do career pivots right now and are looking into this space and thinking, you know what, that is a male-dominated space. It's a little intimidating. Well, here you have it. Here's a whole episode where Olivia shares a pathway for how you can succeed and what it takes through mentorship and leaning on those relationships. So excited for you to hear that. For those men out there, hear this as well. There's things for us to be inspired by in the work and the courage that Olivia is taking and moving in this direction. There's so much here. She knows her stuff. She knows her craft. So feel free to follow her on LinkedIn and feel free to follow us on Apple, Spotify, and others. And feel free to click the subscribe button for more episodes like this, and we'll catch you next time.